The day humanity lost the sky. The sky didn't explode when the aliens arrived. That was the first mistake in everyone's expectations. No firestorms, no meteor rain, no dramatic shockwave rolling across cities. Just silence. On the morning of April 19th, every satellite feed went black at exactly 8:17 Universal Time Coordinated. Airplanes froze in place, guided by emergency systems that suddenly didn't recognize Earth as their primary authority. Power grids flickered, then stabilized, intentionally, as if someone else had taken control and decided we still needed lights. I was standing in a queue for coffee when the clouds above London folded inward like paper, not parted, folded. The sky bent, layered over itself, revealing something vast and metallic beyond the blue. People screamed. Phones fell from hands. The barista whispered a prayer I didn't recognize. And then the voice came, not from speakers, not from the air, from inside us. Humanity of Soul 3. Do not flee. Do not resist. You are being evaluated. That was it. No threats, no demands, just evaluated. Within hours, the ships descended, structures so large they cast shadows over entire districts. They didn't land. They hovered, perfectly still, as if gravity itself had been politely asked to step aside. Governments scrambled. Militaries postured. Weapons were armed and instantly disabled. Missiles launched and vanished midair, disassembled into harmless particles that drifted like dust. It took 3 days before they asked for representatives. Scientists, linguists, military observers, and, oddly, civilians. People like me. My name is Eli Carter. I was 32, a former systems engineer turned disaster response analyst. My only real skill was understanding how complex systems failed and how they adapted. That apparently made me interesting. The selection. They gathered us in a structure that hadn't existed the day before, a smooth obsidian hull grown directly from the ground near Geneva. No doors, no seams. We simply stepped through an opening that wasn't there a moment earlier. There were 47 of us. Men, women, different nations, different faiths, all terrified. And then she arrived. The alien delegation didn't look like monsters. That, too, was unexpected. They were tall, nearly 7 feet, slender, with skin that shimmered like moonlight on water. Their eyes were large, luminous, and layered with shifting patterns, like galaxies trapped behind glass. But she was different. She stood slightly apart from the others, her presence pulling attention like gravity. Her skin carried a faint iridescence, deep violet threaded with silver veins that pulsed slowly, rhythmically. Her hair, if it could be called that, floated around her head in soft strands of light. When her gaze passed over me, something in my chest tightened. Not fear, recognition. "I am Leary," she said, her voice resonating directly in our minds. "High Envoy of the Aurelian Concord." She paused, eyes scanning us. "You are not being judged for conquest. You are being studied for compatibility." A murmur rippled through the room. "Compatibility? Your species stands at a threshold," Leary continued. "You may destroy yourselves within 2 centuries, or transcend your current limitations. The Concord does not interfere blindly. We observe. We test." Her eyes met mine again. This time, they didn't move away. Middle. The bond that wasn't meant to exist. The tests were nothing like we expected. No physical trials. No endurance tests. No moral dilemmas with obvious answers. Instead, they were intimate. We were separated, one by one, into chambers that responded to thought. Each room adapted to the individual inside, memories, fears, unresolved questions made physical. In my chamber, I stood in my childhood home. My father sat at the kitchen table, alive again, smiling the way he used to before cancer hollowed him out. I felt my breath catch. "This is not real," I whispered. "Real enough to measure your response." Leary's voice echoed gently. She appeared across the room, watching, not intruding. Unlike the others, she didn't control the illusion. She observed me inside it. For hours, maybe days, I faced fragments of my life, regrets, choices I'd avoided, people I'd failed, and she was always there, silent, present. When it ended, I collapsed to my knees. That was when she knelt beside me. Her hand hovered, uncertain, before resting lightly on my shoulder. The contact sent a shock through both of us. She inhaled sharply. So did I. Our eyes locked. Something passed between us. Images, emotions, sensations layered so quickly I couldn't separate mine from hers. Loneliness stretched across centuries, duty heavy as stars, a longing she had never permitted herself to name. She pulled away first. "That should not have happened," she said, her voice unsteady. "What was that?" I asked. She didn't answer. But from that moment on, everything changed. The truth of the Concord. Leary began visiting me outside the tests. Officially, she claimed I exhibited unusual cognitive resilience. Unofficially, she lingered. We talked about humanity's contradictions, our violence and our tenderness, our art, our music, our absurd hope, about the Aurelians. They were ancient, peaceful, a species that had transcended individual desire in favor of collective survival. Love, as humans understood it, had been deemed inefficient long ago. "Then why do you look at me like that?" I asked one evening. Her eyes dimmed slightly. "Because you awakened something that was never supposed to exist in me," she replied. I learned the truth then. The Concord wasn't deciding whether to save humanity. They were deciding whether to claim us. Species deemed emotionally volatile but cognitively adaptable were integrated, absorbed into the Concord's vast collective. Individual cultures erased. Conflict ended forever. Peace at the cost of being human. And Leary? She was a final authority. Her recommendation would determine our fate. The whisper, the night before the decision, Leary took me to the observation spire. Earth hung below us, blue, fragile, alive. "You will not remember me after tomorrow," she said quietly. "What?" I turned to her. "Why? If the Concord integrates your species, this bond will be severed. Emotional anomalies are corrected. The word hurt more than I expected. And if we're rejected, then Earth will be isolated, left to its fate." I stepped closer. "There has to be another way." Her expression softened, pain flickering across features trained to hide it. She raised a hand and gently touched my face. The world seemed to narrow to that single point of contact. She leaned in, her forehead resting against mine, and then she whispered, barely audible, even in my mind, "I wish you were mine, human." My heart broke and soared at the same time. "Then choose us," I said. Choose me. Choose humanity as we are. Her hand trembled. The choice. The Concorde assembled the next day. Leary stood before them, radiant and composed, the perfect envoy. Her voice carried across the chamber. Humanity is unsuitable for integration, she said. Gasps erupted. My breath caught. Their emotional volatility is not a flaw, she continued. It is their strength. They adapt through connection, not conformity. The elders shifted, uneasy. I recommend protected autonomy, Leary said. No integration. No interference. Silence. Then acceptance. The Concorde withdrew within hours. The ships folded the sky back into place. Humanity was alone again, saved, at a cost, ending the distance between stars. I never saw Leary again, not in person, but sometimes late at night, when the world is quiet and the sky feels too large, I sense something, like a presence just beyond reach. Years later, humanity begins to change, not because the aliens guided us, because we remembered the moment we almost lost ourselves, and somewhere across an impossible distance, an Aurelian envoy watches a small blue world and carries a secret ache she will never erase, a whisper she will never forget. I wish you were mine, human, and the human who heard it and chose an entire species over a single impossible love.